Meeting to order. Before we get started, I'd ask that you please turn off your cell phones so that they aren't disruptive to the meeting, or else put them on silent or vibrate. First, we have an invocation. I'd ask Mrs. Connor if you would mind doing that.
Please stand. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for giving us another glorious day. We thank you for the many, many blessings that you bestow on each of us. We ask that you be with us tonight through this meeting as we do the work of the people. We ask that you watch over the troops who are overseas, be with their families as they struggle through their daily lives without their loved ones. We ask that you bring them home safe and bring them home soon. We ask you for all these wonderful things, and we thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Mrs. Connor. For those of you that don't know, we have a new secretary here. This is Mrs. Miller, Gail Miller. She's replacing Gina Blackfox. So let's give her a hand. Okay, roll call.
Jill Angry.
Here.
Bill John Baker.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Arthur Connor. Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Meredith Fraley. Here. Don Garvin. Chuck Hoskin.
Here.
Bill Johnson.
Here.
Taylor King. John Keener. Jackie Bob Martin. Linda O'Leary. Navana Shophouse. David Thornton. Carol Cowan Marks. Phyllis Sargent.
We have a quorum. Next order of business is approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes for September 7, 2006 special session?
Move for approval. Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Go down, there's a correction. There's on the next.
Madam Chairman.
Yes.
I move for the approval of
September 11th.
September 11th regular session, except on page 8, it shows that Jack D. Baker voted nay, and it should be changed to yay, and it says William Johnson voted yay, and it should be nay. With that correction, I move for its approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Now the minutes, are there any corrections to the September 21 special session minutes?
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. The next order of business is the State of the Nation, Principal Chief Chad Smith. Good evening.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to appear in front of you for the State of the Nation, October 2006, State of the Great Cherokee Nation. I'd like to recognize our citizens, friends, and others who have passed and departed from this life in the last few weeks. Lavetta McCraw, Lula McCraw's mother from Works in Healthy Nations, has passed on. Alvin Cole, Jamie Cole's grandfather, is for our accounting group. His grandfather passed on. And just remember them in a quick moment of silence, and all those others of families that are grieving this past month. For our Veterans Honors tonight, Farrell Eugene Perry was born in Tahlequah and graduated from Tahlequah High School in 1983. After graduation, Farrell joined the Oklahoma National Guard. 2 years later, he enlisted in the United States Army. He was stationed in Berlin, West Germany, with the 6th Battalion, 520th Infantry, and while stationed in Berlin, he rotated guard duty with the Soviets at Spandau Prison, where they were guarding prisoner Rudolf Hess. After his enlistment was up in 1988, Farrell returned to Tahlequah and joined the Army National Guard 45th Infantry Brigade as an infantry sergeant. He began his career with the Oklahoma Highway Patrol while continuing to serve his country in the National Guard. In 2004, Sergeant Perry's Guard unit was mobilized for Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. In 2005, Sergeant Perry completed 22 years of military service and retired from the Army National Guard with an honorable discharge. During his military service, Farrell received several awards: the Army Achievement Award, Meritorious Service Award, the Combat Infantry Badge. He says he is proud to have served with the past and present veterans of the Thunderbird 45th Infantry Brigade. Farrell resides in Tahlequah with his wife, Sherry, and I would ask Farrell to come up and let us express our small token of appreciation. Can I say a word for us, please?
Oh, sure. Well, I appreciate this. I didn't get into step 4 awards, but I feel if my country called, it's time to go. And I thank you all for your appreciation for standing behind us back there. Thank you.
Is Dustin Butler here tonight? Dustin Butler? We had another veteran. I didn't think he made it, so we'll recognize him next time. Tonight I want to commend one of our employees for their dedication helping Cherokee men and women who are serving in the Iraqi War. Gina Olaya is going to receive the 7 SEALs Award from the National Committee for Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve. Gina is the director at Cherokee Nation Enterprises. She's always found ways to help our soldiers, whether large or small requests. Gina always comes through for us. The award reads for meritorious service and initiative in support of the men and women who serve America in the National Guard and Reserve. If Gina, if you will come down, we have Jim Gill, sorry, to help present that award.
Gina, this award is called the 7 SEALs Award. It's presented by the ESGR, Employer Supported Guard and Reserve. And this award is very important to us, and I hope it's just as important to you. ESGR basically promotes the help, to give help to the soldiers, Marines, sailors, if they had employment problems when they come back from wherever they've been, if they've been on active duty. It's primarily the reservists and the National Guard that we try to protect, but we get involved in other things too. If an employer is not following the right rules under Title 10, then it's my obligation or my duty to go and talk to them and talk to the soldier, try to work out or mediate the problem, the situation. Part of what we do is not only try to help the troops, but if we got somebody who really wants to put out the effort to help the troops, we want to present awards to them, and you're one of those.
I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. Basically, the 7 SEALs Award is presented to Gina Olaya for meritorious leadership and initiative in support of the men and women who serve America in the National Guard and Reserve. And the way she did this was to provide door prizes during a time when the troops came home and they had a family get-together. and they chose the Cherokee Casino. And she provided not only door prizes to help, bring up make it lighter so they can have a lot more fun, but also she comped some rooms to help the troops have a better time. And then during that time, the troops don't get paid that much. I don't know if you know that or not, but they don't get paid that much. So anything that you can do for them, it really helps them. And as a retired Marine, I appreciate what you've done, and I'll continue to appreciate what you've done. So I'd like to present this to you, Junior.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Well, nope. Which is great.
Thanks. I have to take my glasses off. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Also report to the people on the status of the Cherokee Nation. We just passed our budget on effective October 1st. It is the largest budget we've had in our history, and for an administration official, it feels good to have a budget so we don't have the uncertainty of financial questions in the future. So we're very appreciative of the work the council did and our staff in preparing this year's budget. On February 10th, 2007, I've called a special election on the constitutional amendment that requires Cherokee citizens to have an Indian ancestor. That's as a result of a petition that was verified by the Election Commission that 2,217 people were verified as voters. The Cherokee Nation is community-focused and a community-driven organization. The strength of the Cherokee Nation lies in our communities, and it's important we help support other organizations with the same vision and dedication to the citizens of the Cherokee Nation and of Oklahoma. To that end, the Cherokee Nation has made several financial awards in this last month that was provided for in our budget. We presented $10,000 to the American Red Cross to be divided among the chapters within the state's jurisdiction. We also presented additional funds of about $50,000 to six shelters and centers who work to prevent domestic violence in our communities. It is fundamental to our mission as a good community partner to collaborate with those organizations that work to enhance the communities in which Cherokee citizens in Oklahoma live. Community service employees Philip Hicks and Bob Dodd worked late into the night assisting Cherokee Rural Water District No. 3 to restore water service to the Moody community. Cherokee Nation's Emergency Management Team, Community Services, and the Marshal Services Dispatch provided assistance to the Kenwood community during an emergency recently. This follows us shipping 7,000 gallons of water to the Eastern Band when they had their water system collapse. In Kenwood, the rural water district's pump went out and the community was left without water over the weekend. The Cherokee Nation supplied 870 gallons of water to 75 households. Our employees work with the community leaders to distribute the water to those in greatest need. Some of our employees assisting in this emergency effort were Todd Inlow, Tim Kidd, Tamara Copeland, Laura Adair, Shane McMahon, Charlie Soap, Dwayne Fain, Don Greenfeather, Harley Buzzard, Rodney Kingfisher, and others. Let's give them our acknowledgement and appreciation. The Cherokee Nation is accepting applications for community work projects. The goal is to assist communities with such projects as community buildings, ballparks, and walking trails. Community-based organizations that are administered by the Cherokee Nation citizens are invited to submit community project proposals for funding consideration. The Cherokee Nation Tag Commission recently opened a tag office located at 105 East Main in Collinsville. The office is open Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Other announcements, the newly constructed Cherokee Casino in Tahlequah is open for business. It's a beautiful inside facility and received architectural awards. The 20,000 square foot casino employs 180 people. The new $7.5 million casino just took over 1 year to complete. Like all Cherokee casinos, it's adorned with traditional Cherokee symbols, colors, and our own unique artwork. A community-based project we'd like to acknowledge tonight is the Sequoia Ball Fields Renovation Committee. Committee members are Nemo Bush, David Bush, Denise Hanawa, Darlene Foreman, and Dennis Bluebird. They were assisted in the design work by Dusty Delso. These 5 people had the vision to make a community-based, world-class ball field at Sequoia School several years ago. And I can remember the conversation we had with Nemo right after, that's Wanema, right after the ball games of 2 years ago. They were crowded, they were difficult, and we challenged that community, that softball community, if they would be interested in designing and building it, we'd find the funds for that. So with the assistance of the council in funding it, they worked, these 5 headed a team that worked almost every weekend and nearly many weeknights and recruited community volunteers to put in hours to make a nice place for local and visiting ball players to compete. They did everything, from picking up rocks to painting and carpentry work. After 2 years, their labors have paid off. The ball fields are a nice place, a world-class place, and a safer place. They have a brand new concession stand, an announcer's booth, and fencing all the way around. This group personifies our attribute of commitment, and I want to express my appreciation for their outstanding efforts and the efforts of the volunteers who worked with the committee to complete this project. And if you 5 are here tonight, will you stand and let us acknowledge you? David, I know you're here. They left you out here by yourself, didn't they? You've been on that ball field by yourself on occasion, haven't you? Now, let me suggest don't talk to David about experiences there, because he'll tell you that everything I welded, he had to come back and cut off and re-weld. Sequoia High School volleyball team made it to the state competition, and I think many of them are here tonight. Will the team members and coaches please stand? The volleyball team. What was your record? 20-7. And this is first time they've gone to the state championship. And they lost in the first round, but they lost to the #1 school in the state, and we're very proud of them. It was an initiative that was new, and they've done very well, and we're very proud of them. We're also proud of our fast-pitch softball team. We'll invite them next time, but they won the districts. And they had a tremendous record. Does anybody remember their record of something like 24-7?
They won 30 games.
30 games and half a dozen losses. Just a phenomenal team. Football is doing well at Sequoia. Undefeated. Plays another undefeated team this Thursday night at Concord. So if you can go to Delaware County and help support Sequoia, it's been an exciting season. The Cherokee Art Market was conducted this last weekend, and I hope you were able to attend. There was lots of great artists. In fact, we had 200 artists from across the country, 54 different tribes. There was over 40 Cherokee and Eastern Band artists. The prize money was $75,000, and the artists expressed a great appreciation for how they were treated. We had receptions for them at the casino and such. We're hoping to stimulate the art market in Tulsa because we know that the art market is very strong in places like Santa Fe and other places where the local community understands the value of their work. So it'll be several years before we can actually develop the appetite in the art market for our great artists locally. But that's something that will stimulate the demand, increase an appreciation for artists and their art. We also had this weekend the International Cherokee Film Festival, with a number of entries from across the country focusing on Cherokee and other tribal film releases. And Edge of America won most of the awards. one of the starring actresses in that was Delina Studi from Roland and Muldrow area, and she had come back and helped the students with their presentations, and so it's a great example of where our Cherokee people do succeed in their craft and their industry and their talent, that they come back and contribute to our young people. Jamie Hummingbird, the Cherokee Nation Gaming Commission Director, should be commended for his recent election as chairman of the National Tribal Gaming Commissioners Regulatory Agency. The Cherokee Nation Youth Choir will be holding auditions for the 2007 choir on Tuesday, January 9th, so please circulate that. January 9th is a Tuesday, and they can contact Kathy Sierra here at the complex at 453-5000 to sign up for those auditions. And we have a great opportunity tonight. We have visiting dignitaries from the city of Chattanooga, and this really dovetails with the art initiative, because if you remember several years ago, the Cherokee Passage, a great piece of institutional art, was unveiled in Chattanooga as part of their downtown water district effort to revitalize the traffic and the interest in the downtown area and their water parks. Bill Glass and a number of his crew, the Gadoogie team, developed the art. Outstanding, it's beautiful, historically accurate, stunning. And it has created an excitement in Chattanooga, and maybe I'm taking Mayor Littlefield's talk away, but it has stimulated a dialogue, a conversation, an understanding between the Cherokee Nation and Chattanooga. And if we remember Chattanooga, it's not only a place of Cherokee historical presence, it's a place of Cherokee historical sadness, because Ross's Landing and that area was one of the places where there were in essence concentration camps gathered for the Trail of Tears. So tonight we have the opportunity with Ron Littlefield, the mayor of Chattanooga, he's present, and we have an agreement, a memorandum of understanding to establish a friendship between the city of Chattanooga and the Cherokee Nation. And he also has another proclamation that I'm going to ask him to explain because it shows the heartfelt sentiment of those in Chattanooga and creates almost an instant bond with us here in the Cherokee Nation. So let me introduce at this time Ron Littlefield, Mayor of Chattanooga.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief Smith. I feel very much at home here. I've never been to Tahlequah before, but arriving I saw so many familiar names. Just driving here, Catoosa, which I'm told we've been mispronouncing all these years. It should be Gadusa. How was that, Mr. Martin? Something like that? Close? It's as close as I can come. But we grew up in our part of the country. I actually grew up in Georgia, and I have served in Tennessee now for a long time. And the border sort of becomes muddy over time, but we have those places on both sides of the border that are Cherokee places. And I grew up in grammar school and high school learning about the Cherokee history, and I just feel especially honored to be allowed to come and speak to you tonight. And I hope that you will receive what we're bringing in the spirit that it's intended. I was listening to Sequoia High School here, and I was thinking I'm at home because we have a Sequoia High School. All of these names are very familiar, and of course the name Ross is very much a part of Chattanooga history. Last week I stood in John Ross's ancestral home, which is just across the line in Georgia, and signs are being put up by the state of Georgia and the state of Tennessee recognizing all of the landmarks that are related to John Ross, to the Cherokee, and to the Trail of Tears. We have an opportunity which we are pursuing vigorously in Chattanooga to develop an urban national park, something that you don't see much of any other place. I think there are only a couple around the country, but we have Moccasin Bend there, which is great ties to the Cherokee Nation and other indigenous tribes, as well as historic sites that relate to the Civil War and others. But we are focusing much on the Trail of Tears, which is, as the Chief indicated, a time of sadness, perhaps the closest thing to an American Holocaust that this country has ever endured. What we would like to do, the city of Chattanooga has a number of sister cities, and we realize that you're a sovereign nation, so it's taken us some time to negotiate back and forth between our attorneys and your attorneys, something that could give us a continuing relationship and put some things in writing that simply state that we're friends and that we want to exchange to the extent that it enables our cultures to grow closer and to build the history both of our part of the country and your part of the country. Particularly, we have found with other sister city relationships, it relates well to young people, to enable them to go back and forth and learn about cultures that perhaps they might not otherwise have had an opportunity to experience. And so I hope as you develop your tourism industry here, that we can create a flow that goes in both directions. People coming from Chattanooga and seeing what you have here in the Cherokee Nation that relate to our history, experiencing just as I have the fact that they see a place that might be unfamiliar to them, but so many familiar names. I can tell you that's a great comforting thing. And so, Chief, we have, I believe, negotiated a document here, and we can sign this now if you like. I have a pen, and it goes through a number of whereases, which we won't bother reading to you, but basically just puts forth in language acceptable to your attorneys and our attorneys. Well, and I know you're an attorney, so we believe that this will put us on a course that, and I'll sign first on this one, and allow you to sign that. And then we have a copy for us to take back, which, if you wish to sign that one first. Very good. I think this is one of the more meaningful relationships that we have with other governments, and I look forward to. Now, the other thing that the Chief mentioned, we don't want to make too much of this, because we have learned that the Cherokee do not wish to dwell on the past, and particularly the sad things that happened in the past, and we don't either. But we believe that things need to be acknowledged, and my Bible tells me that repentance is necessary in order to set free the people who have caused the harm, even the people who simply occupy the land where such things happened before. Now, I don't mean to sound too New Age-ish in this. This is right out of the King James Bible. Nehemiah, when he went to rebuild the wall at Jerusalem, which was the first step in restoring the land to the children of Israel, prayed and repented and asked forgiveness for the sins of his forefathers, things that happened on the land that perhaps he could have said, I'm not responsible for that. But he felt a certain sense of responsibility as the leader elected at that time, or selected to undertake the important work that God had for him. We wish to put in writing, and we hope that you will accept this in a spirit of friendship, a proclamation which sets forth in detail the treaties, the facts, the issues, the steps leading up to the Trail of Tears and all that occurred from that. And in doing that, we simply wish to set ourselves somewhat free of the responsibility that our forefathers accepted upon themselves by causing the forced removal of your people from the land that we now occupy. So we have a place that I have lived close to for 35 years called Brainerd Mission. Are you familiar with the Brainerd Mission? Brainerd Mission was the first Christian mission to the Cherokee Nation, and it's within 2 miles of my house. And the Brainerd Mission was remarkable because it was a church not just of white missionaries and Native Americans, but it also included black slaves and free, the history says. And at the time of the removal, many of those individuals associated with the mission came west with your people. And so I wish to present to you tonight, Chief, and to your nation and to your council, this proclamation setting forth these details and expressing apology and a hope for further friendship and growth among our people. And it's signed by me as mayor of the city of Chattanooga, representing people of Chattanooga, and by our council chairman, who interestingly enough is a black man. So, in the spirit of the Brainerd Mission, the white man, the black man, and wishes to express remorse to you Native Americans. Thank you for allowing us to present this to you.
Let me present to you this.
And we'll leave the copy with you. Thank you very much.
That concludes the State of the Nation. Well done.
Next order of business is, we have 2 legislative acts and a resolution that were approved during the September meeting and were subsequently vetoed by the principal chief. And the question before us is whether we sustain the veto, override the veto, or table the veto. Mr. Baker.
Madam Chairman, on the minimum wage, I'd move to override the veto.
Item 1, we have a motion to override the act establishing minimum wage for employees of the Cherokee Nation and its corporation. And we had a second by Mr. Britton. All in favor of overriding signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
No.
Roll call, please. Yes is to override.
Joe Angren,
No.
John Baker,
Yes.
Jack Baker,
No.
Audra Connor,
Yes.
Joe Crittenden,
Yes.
Meredith Fraley,
No.
Val Garvin, Chuck Hoskin,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
No.
Taylor King,
Yes.
John Keener,
Yes.
Jackie Ball Martin, Linda O'Leary,
Yes.
Melvina Shophouse,
Yes.
David Thornton,
Yes.
Carrie Cowan Watts,
No.
Phyllis Sharkey.
Yes. 11 yes.
10 yes.
10 yes.
7 no.
7 no. And we need 12. We need 12 to override. The motion is rejected, Mr. Baker. Okay, item 2 is an act amending the Emergency Assistance and Community Assistance Project. The question is whether to sustain or override the veto. Have a motion?
Move to override.
Second. We have a motion and a second by Mr. Leary. All in favor of overriding the emergency assistance legislation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
No.
Yes is for override.
Phyllis Sharkey,
No.
Carrie Cowan Watts,
No.
David Thornton,
Yes.
Melvina Shophouse,
Yes.
Linda O'Leary,
Yes.
Jackie Bob Martin,
No.
John Keener,
Yes.
Taylor King,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
No.
Chuck Hoskin,
Yes.
Don Garvin,
No.
Meredith Braley,
No.
Joe Crittenden,
Yes.
Audra Connor,
Yes.
Jack Baker,
No.
Bill John Baker,
Yes.
Bill England.
No.
9 yeas,
9 yes,
8 nays.
8 no. Motion is rejected. Okay, item 3 is a resolution amending the Constitution to provide for the election of office of Attorney General.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Baker?
I ask that this be tabled this time as it is before our courts.
Second. Motion is to table because the item is before the Cherokee Nation courts. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 3 will be tabled. Next order of business are the committee reports. And for Housing Authority, Lisa Price, standing in for Mr. Sutherland.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Trice Turtle. I'm an employee of the Housing Authority, and I'm representing David Sutherland this evening, who is attending the Southern Indian Housing Plan Association meeting. So he will be out for the next couple of days. And he asked me to come tonight and give a brief report. So we held our October board meeting this past Thursday, October the 12th, at the Eileen Hogner Conference Room, and the board had a very light agenda. They approved the holiday schedule for next year and appropriated non-federal funds for the annual employee training and Christmas dinner. And you might mark in your calendar, tentatively we're looking for the scheduled dinner for December the 15th. We have not finalized a location, but we will let you know. And then this past Friday, we hosted several staff from Fannie Mae, including their Chief Executive Officer, Daniel Mudd. We met them in Catoosa at one of our additions at Star Gardens. We had a vacant unit there. They seemed very pleased and impressed with Star Gardens. They wanted to see what type of housing that we had and had developed with the Title VI program. David also had asked me to inform you of a little bit of what I've been doing, and I'm the housing liaison for the Housing Authority serving on the Cherokee Nation Anti-Methamphetamine Coalition. This coalition is under the direction of Dr. B.J. Boyd in behavioral health, and recently Levi Keeler, another coalition member, and myself were submitted to attend the National Congress of American Indians on behalf of Principal Chief Chet Smith. This convention was held in Sacramento, and NCAI is establishing a tribal meth task force. So Levi and I attended the meeting representing the Cherokee Nation. There were a lot of issues that were discussed, and as always with any committee, they're going to establish subcommittees, and they're going to look over the feasibility of some of the strategies of the proposed activities, because it would be representing Indian country as a whole. I'm glad to be a part of Chief Smith's initiative for combating the national meth epidemic and making our Cherokee communities safer as well as cleaner. And I'm also glad to see that NCAI is taking the initiative on a national level to make Indian country safer by also combating this national meth epidemic. And that's the report for this evening.
Any questions or comments for Mrs. Price Turtle? It's not. Thank you, Lisa. Next item are Cherokee Nation Enterprises by David Stewart. Good evening, Mr. Stewart.
Good evening. It's been a busy month at Cherokee Nation Enterprises. We had an exceptional month reporting for August of this year. We're about 20% ahead of where we were this time last year, so we continue to see good operating results. We currently employ 3,010. We broke the 3,000 number. We expect that to continue to increase slowly until we open up our new casinos, at which time we would expect to hire another 300 to 400 people to get us into around 3,600 or 3,700. So we're gearing up for that. Our Cherokee percentage of employment is about 59%. with other natives at 14% for a total of 73%. At the management level, we're 63% Cherokee with other natives at 7% for a total of 70%. In addition to the almost $2.5 million in dividends that we paid the tribe, we generated approximately $87,000 in excise tax and retail sales tax that would be for the general fund use. We have several things that I would like to mention tonight. Last month, if you'll remember, I talked about the training that we did at C&E and some of the programs that we had. And I would like to recognize a special program that we've just started, and it relates to the culinary arts and creating careers in the culinary arts at C&E. 2 or 3 years ago, we served less than 10,000 meals a month, and now we serve about 200,000 meals a month. And we would like to thank Chef Dale Yeager, if you would come up for a second. Chef? Just right here. Chef comes to us from Las Vegas and has had a significant impact on C&E's ability to provide good food and entertainment for our guests. And thanks to him, he has sponsored Culinary Arts School, and some of the food is outside, so when you get done, I think you need to try that. So I'm going to let Chef, I'm going to take your thunder, Chef, so I'll just turn it over to you.
Thank you. We had our first graduating class of the Culinary Academy. It's about 2 months ago. I brought some of the students tonight, and they're up against the back wall. We have Kim Godsey.
Come on down. Come on down.
Nancy Hummingbird, Patty Jones, Justina Smith, and Louise Ham. These are just 5 of the students, and everything that was prepared outside tonight was prepared by them. And it was their own menu. I just came along for the ride, and we're very, very proud of them. When we opened up the Catoosa property, we found that the skill level of what we're looking for to operate a casino such as the Catoosa property really wasn't in the area. And we've had to work really, really hard with the employees that we were getting to bring them up to the standard where we're at now. And one of the ideas was this Culinary Academy. And we've taken 4 of the students here, were already employees that we have worked with and elevated. And by taking them through the academy, they become very, very valuable members of the staff. And Nancy Hummingbird was the one that was not a member of the staff, and she was a homemaker. And after graduating from the class, she is now, I'm very, very pleased, a full-time employee of the Catoosa property. And she's just not an employee. I mean, what she's learned in this class, I mean, she walked in the door as a valuable asset. She's helping with our banquet department, which I know most of you guys have been to some of our banquets. These are the people that are behind the scenes doing these banquets, these trays, these elaborate displays. And this is something that really, I don't think was out in this area until we showed up. And I believe that the Catoosa property is setting the standard in the community, in the Tulsa community, for these banquets and these events. That's the feedback that I'm getting from my peers, and it's like people like these that are getting us there. The next part of the Culinary Academy, we're going to be starting the second week of November, and we're working with Doyle Payton in the Education Development Department. And we want to take this to the next level. The Cherokee Nation casinos, they're just everywhere. They've got me running from, I don't know where I'm at half the time. I have to look at my watch and I try to find out what day it is and where I'm going. The growth is so fast that we're having a hard time having enough qualified bench strength to go out in these areas and manage and keep that standard that we're setting. So we're starting phase 2, where we're going to take and develop our managers in-house and promote our own people into these positions. Before we open up a new property, we have those people that know the standard, go in there and operate the same. And these are the first graduates, and we're hoping that they get enrolled in the second part of this class, and we can just keep building them up until we have our own department built. Thank you.
These are some of the things that we are working on behind the scenes, and I think it's good and valuable that you are aware of them. The people are really who we are and what we are and how successful we are. Speaking of employees and their extraordinary work that they do, the Roland Casino has earned the Operational Excellence Award. And that means that the casino that performs the best financially quarter over quarter in terms of revenue, receives this award. So I would like for Misty Griswell, if you will come up. And Gina, do you have the award? All right. You can stand up. There you go. Okay, Misty is a unique employee. Misty has been with us for 10 years, and she was one of the first employees to obtain a perfect score on our Spotlighters Award. And that award is earned by secret shoppers that come in, and they gauge our employees' performance in terms of how they address our customer, their customer service level, and how they treat our customer. And she received 100%, and she is the first employee that's done that as a part of the whole program. So thank you, Misty, for your hard work. And you're going to accept that on behalf of all of the Roland employees, because they perform the best of all of our casinos financially. And I know we're all about providing dividends back to the tribe and also our people. So, Misty, thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Take that off back. Gina, this is, okay, you can take that, but don't drop it.
I won't. I won't drop it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And Roland also had a special event that happened that I'm happy to say ended up very positive. Joe Wilson, if you would come up. Joe is our senior security manager. And Greg Lee, if you would come up. Where's Joe? Come on up, Greg. I want you all good front and center out there. We got to get you out in front of there, Joe. And I'll turn it over to Joe and let him have all the thunder here. But Greg and also Gerald Henson, who is not able to be with us, he's protecting our southern border with the National Guard. We had a Code 3 medical emergency, and that means that someone has essentially stopped breathing at one of our casinos. And these two gentlemen, Officer Henson and Officer Lee, stepped in, and I'll let you, Joe, tell them what they did. But they essentially saved this person's life. And it was right there at the casino. So, Joe, I'd like for you to talk a little about the officers and what they did.
Okay, thank you, Dave, and thanks to each of you for allowing us to be here. It's a great pleasure and pride that I recognize these two officers from the Rolla Casino team, security team. Back in early September, Supervisor Greg Lee and Gerald Henson, who's not able to be with us this evening, came up on a Code 3 emergency medical, and they fell back on their training, the extensive training that we provide for those officers, and they saved one of our guests' life. They administered a basic first aid, CPR, and AED, and the gentleman later recovered, full recovery. We received, or these gentlemen received, accolades from his family for saving the gentleman's life. So before I recognize these gentlemen, I'd just like to tell you a little bit about what we do as far as training at our casinos for our officers. We partner with the Cherokee Nation EMS, and each one of our security officers, whether they be armed or unarmed, are CPR and AED certified. They have to go back every 2 years for recertification. And immediately, I say immediately, within the first few months of our officers' training, any new officer that we hire, we send them to Tahlequah, and they receive this training from the Cherokee Nation EMS. Also, we require CLEAT law enforcement or security officer training for our security officers. CLEAT is Council on Law Enforcement Education and Training. This is an Oklahoma law enforcement training. Our security officers that are armed are required to have reserve or full-time police officer training, plus they have to go through an academy through the Marshal Service. They become reserve marshals, and then they are allowed to carry a weapon on our trust property. Each one of our security officers that are unarmed, they are required to take Phase 1 and Phase 2 of security officer training, and it's for unarmed officers. And of course they can't wear an arm for us, or weapon for us, but they are required to do all the other training that our armed officers do. And this happened back in early September, And as Mr. Stewart said, Gerald Henson cannot be here with us this evening. Gerald is an unarmed officer. He's been with the company now 6 years as a part-time employee. He's a full-time firefighter for the Air National Guard. He's been in the Air National Guard now for 26 years, and he works for the state of Arkansas, the state military of Arkansas. So what we try to do as we interview and hire new employees, we try to hire employees that already have the EMT or the first responder training if we can. So that gives us a leg up, if you will, on our training cost, and it enables us to get our people, up and going a lot sooner. Greg Lee is our first shift security supervisor at Roland. He's been with the company about 6.5 years. He's been security supervisor for 2.5. He is a reserve police officer certified and a reserve marshal, Cherokee Nation Marshal. And he's also a veteran of the Air Force for 4 years, and he served two years in the Air Guard. So I don't want to steal all of Greg's thunder, and I would like to give Greg an opportunity to come forward and just share his experience with you guys. If you got 30 minutes, Greg. You don't have to use your ball. If you would, just come forward and share your experience.
I just want to say thank you. This is just part of C&E's, or Security Department's day-to-day operations of what we do. I'm just glad I showed a positive light for the Security Department in Cherokee Nation. We have good management with John Harris, Joe Wilson, Billy Stonebarger, and a good training program headed by Gus Jones. So I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I appreciate it.
Thanks. I asked Greg if he wanted to say anything, and he said not really, and I said, well, that's not good enough. You have to say something. So he may arrest me on the way home. Anyway, that's my report. I hope you get a feel for what's going on at C&E. These guys, when something happens, you really don't know how good they are until you need them. And so my commendation again to the crew. Any questions about
Mr. Garvin?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm anxious to sample that food out there. I'm sure it's going to be good.
it's going to be good. It is good. It is.
I want to ask you something. It may not be legal. Would it be possible for all the council to get one of those big round?
We could certainly arrange that, Councilman Garvin.
I think it would look good.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Thank you very much.
Chairman, could I indulge the council for a moment? Our entire volleyball team is now in the council chambers. Many of them were outside, not understanding. They would ask them to come in, so with the council's indulgence, may I reintroduce them, ask them to come forward, and ask Coach Herron to come down and tell us about this historic season.
Council, any objections?
And Coach, could you bring your team down and tell us about it?
Well, we're honored to be here tonight. We've had a great year. These are a great group of young ladies. Everybody here can be very proud of how they conduct themselves, how hard they compete, and the successes we've had on and off the court this year. This is 8 of our 12 members of the varsity, or 9, I'm sorry. We've had a few that couldn't be here tonight, but we've had a really good year. We won our tournament this year, the first time we've hosted a tournament here at Sequoia, and we beat Tahlequah in the finals. It was a great match. We won our regional for the first time in Sequoia's history and went to the state tournament. The state tournament didn't quite turn out like we hoped. We played the best team in the state the first round. They went on to win the state championship, but we competed hard, and we've laid the groundwork for hopefully getting back next year and hopefully trying to bring that state championship home in another sport. This is Coach Polkat. She's helped me out this year. It's her first year to be involved with volleyball, and she's been a big help. This is my 3rd year to be here at Sequoia, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I've also coached in the basketball, boys and girls, and helped out with a lot of other things going on, and am familiar with a lot of the sports and the coaches. And we've, as people know, we've got a great program at Sequoia. It's a great place to be. The kids are wonderful. I've coached at many different places, and we have a great thing going. And hopefully, if you guys, we invite everybody here out to watch a match next year. Volleyball starts up in August and runs through the first part of October. We'll be in our new wonderful gymnasium next year, which hosting a tournament, and hopefully if anybody can get a chance to come watch us play, we'd sure like to have the fan support. But these ladies have done a great job. They had a great year, won 20 games, and represented the school and the Cherokee Nation really well all year long. And thank you for having us tonight. Ladies, as I call your name, step forward. Raven Springwater, Nikki Rock, McKinley Ketcher, Kayla Sourjohn, Brittany Keys, Lucy Woody, Cassie Moore, Kenzie Hall, and Miranda Woody.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Okay, next report is Cherokee Nation Industries, Brian Collins. Good evening, Mr. Collins.
Good evening, Madam Speaker and members of the council. I'm delighted to bring some good news to you. Sales year to date at the end of September are $27 million, which is 30% greater than the same time frame last year. Profitability is being estimated at $900,000, which is double of last year's quarter. Employment in the Tahlequah-Stillwell area, September 05 was 210 at a 79% Native American, and at the end of September of 06, 245 and 92% Native American. CNI's next board meeting is scheduled for Monday, October 30th at 3 p.m. in Catoosa. I also want to show my appreciation to Cherokee Nation Enterprises for allowing us to dovetail some of our employees into their training programs that they have as well. And they have a robust program that we've also been exercising employees going over and being trained. That concludes my report. Do you have any questions? We have been negotiating quite heavily, and we're very close to finalizing. So we have ran a job fair and had almost 100 people show up for the job fair, and we've gone through the selection process and in the process of training 40 additional workers preparing for new contracts that we believe is on the horizon. And hopefully on the next meeting I'll be able to announce the finalization of those.
Any questions or comments? Collins?
Thank you.
Next report is Cherokee Nation Business, Callie Ketcher.
Good evening, Council. Nice to be here. Sorry I didn't cook anything, and I don't think anyone saved a life recently, but I'll give you a quick update on C&B.
You better next month.
Yeah, we will. We're going to work on that. C&B had a board meeting September 15th with all of the entities to review the capital investment needs for the next 3 years. That was a very good meeting. It was the first time since I've been affiliated with Cherokee Nation that we've tried to do a 3-year plan on the capital, and that's going to be a critical part of our growth over the next few years, is making sure that we have a good plan for investing our capital. We've seen great results from C&E, and they have many new projects that are in the works for the next 3 years, as well as C&I and C&B. Just a quick update on some of our shared services. Communications is working on a project to help C&I and C&B with our 8A marketing efforts. Our legal services, we've got our first preliminary report on the impact of converting CNI from a taxable entity to a non-taxable. The initial analysis was very favorable, so we're going to go to the next step and do a more in-depth analysis. Internal audit is in the process of implementing a third-party vendor for our ethics hotline, and that is for all of the entities. That should be up and running by December 1st. Business development is working with CNE and CNI on several projects, including development opportunities to add to their core businesses. Our next board meeting is Friday, October 27th at 9 a.m. in Catoosa. It'll be in the CNB conference room. That's my report. If anyone has any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Any questions or comments? Catcher? It's not, you got off easy tonight.
Thank you.
Seeing there is no old business, we'll move on down to new business. The first item is a resolution confirming the nomination of David Blue as a member of the Cherokee Nation Industries Board.
Move to approve, Madam Speaker.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Aye. Item 2 is a resolution confirming the renomination of Scott Gregory as Commissioner of the Cherokee Nation. A resolution confirming the renomination of Scott Gregory as a Commissioner of the Cherokee Nation Tax Commission.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Third is a resolution authorizing approval for the real estate services to issue land assignments. Mr. Martin.
I move for approval. Second, Speaker.
Moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the environmental programs to submit a grant application to the EPA for a Superfund program. Mr. Martin.
Move for approval. Second, Speaker.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Item 5 is an act amending the election law by establishing representative districts within the jurisdictional boundaries of the Cherokee Nation that are reasonably apportioned by citizen population. This legislation proposes 15 districts instead of the current 9 and changes the tribal council representation accordingly. Mr. Baker.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded, and it is an act, so roll call.
Bill John Baker,
Yes.
Jack Baker,
No.
Audra Connor,
Yes.
Joe Crittenden,
Yes.
Meredith Fraley,
Yes.
Don Garvin, Chuck Hoskin,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
No.
Taylor Key,
Yes.
John Keener,
Yes.
Jacqueline Martin,
No.
Linda O'Leary,
Yes.
Navana Shophouse, David Thornton,
Yes.
Carol Callan Watts,
No.
Phyllis Yargy,
Yes.
Gil Anglin.
No.
Eleven yeas, 6 nays.
11 yes, 6 no, the motion carries. Are there any announcements? Mr. Thornton. Ms. Connor.
Yes, I have a couple of announcements here. About 2 weeks ago, the state of Oklahoma helped the cheerleading classifications and find out who was the best in the state in each class. Gore, Oklahoma came in 4th, and we were really proud of these people. But they were great, and they did a good job up there, and they did in Class A. Keys, Oklahoma, come in 2nd, and we were really proud of that bunch too. So we kind of down at Vian, we kind of go back and forth with them all the time. They're our rival down there, but we're real proud of them. But we were really proud of Vian cheerleaders. They won the Class 2A state championship, and they got within the way they grade these cheerleaders is what they do as they're cheerleading and how they're in sync and the different twirls and turns that they can do. I don't know all about it. I went to it. But we're really proud of these kids. They've worked hard. They worked 11 months out of the year as cheerleaders. And it's not like going out for basketball or volleyball and having 2 or 3 months. These kids work 11 months a year. So down there Vian, we're really proud of these girls, and they've really done a good job for us. And I just wanted everybody to know. Thank you.
Ms. Connor?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to let everyone know that, of course, every October 1st rolls around and I become a widow because hunting season begins. So I call myself a hunting widow, and anyone that's married into that kind of thing, you understand. But I just wanted to announce that, in case you don't know, this weekend is a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday youth antlerless gun season. So if you know of kids who maybe don't have a dad in the home and you are an avid hunter, maybe you might want to sponsor a kid and help them get to know nature a little better and spend some time out in the woods. So thank you with that.
Thank you. Ms. Cherokee?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to invite everyone to come out to Cedar Springs Baptist Church this Saturday, starting at 1 o'clock. We're going to have a community celebration with the hog fry and gospel singing. And if you come and take a piece of hog fry, you have to eat and you have to sing. So we invite you to come. It's open. That's the home church of our Miss Cherokee. That's right up here as part of our audience. And I'd like to invite you to come. We have a history project going on at our church that we would like to share with the community, because our community is very unique in the fact that we speak Cherokee Creek in English. So we're going to have gospel singing in all 3 languages. So come and be with us. It's 4 miles north of 4 on Highway 100, coming this way. Left side of the road, look for a little green sign that says Cedar Springs Baptist Church. You can't miss it. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Thornton?
I forgot to mention one thing that's really important about this function. Out of the group, we have 16 cheerleaders, and 12 of those are Cherokees. And it really makes us proud.
Any other announcements? Moved in second. All in favor, aye? Opposed, same sign. Oh, it is 7:09.